What's going on, everyone? It's Mike. It's John back again. This is your match debrief. It was Everton 2, Bournemouth 3. I actually can't believe I'm saying that. Like, um, I'm going to go straight to you. Have you even had time to digest what happened yet?
Oh, I've had time, but I just don't want to digest it because it just puts me in a bad mood. And listen, I come out of there yesterday thinking, I remember me and you sitting together watching a match when we played Newcastle. It was worse than that. It was worse than that. You know, it was comfortable 2-0. No, Pickford made some saves, but listen, we had chances as well. There was a lot of balls played across the goal that we just didn't convert, and there was no one on the end of them. So we could have easily won the game. Now, for me, it was on the manager. The manager's come out and he sort of threw the players under the bus, in my opinion, by saying that the players need to stay switched on for the full 90, 95, 96 minutes or whatever it may be. But the players were, there were certain players, Michael, who were tired. Now, when you're tired, your concentration levels aren't fully there. For me, I've said it on Twitter, I've said it to you, I've said it to people who I spoke to after the game. For me, it was on the manager, and there's still certain people on Twitter, and it's not the normal people who I ever pop up, by the way. I've seen a few things today from other people saying, well, if we sack him, who do we bring in? This and that, this and that. We cross that bridge when we get to it. But the problem you've got is he's not going to be sacked because we haven't got anyone running the club. We don't know who's in charge. He's very comfortable there, and he knows that. So I said this on the video last week after the Brighton game. While he's not under any pressure or feeling any pressure from people above him, he's not going to stand there and have a good, long, hard look at himself in the mirror, because I thought yesterday his substitutions were shocking. And you know what? I'll go as far as saying up until the substitutions, second half performance was probably one of the best halves of football I've seen for a good few years. You know, players seemed to know what they were doing. There was a connection there with players. There was players who haven't been performing lately who put a performance in. And then Bournemouth make 5 changes. And it completely changed the outlook of the game because we had players there who were dead on the feet from 70 minutes. And he kept them on. And as you pointed out to me this morning, Tim was that tired when he had the ball. He couldn't even make a pass. He was giving the ball away because he didn't have any energy left whatsoever. But he takes in Dyche, who for me was running in the 70th minute like he was running in the first minute. He was making things happen. If he keeps him on, it gives us an outlet up top, someone to get the ball to, someone to keep hold of the ball. For me, he took the wrong, the wrong player off yesterday. And for me, it's on the manager's head, that, because that was shocking. Couldn't believe I'd come out of there. I'm sitting there, the 84th, 85th minute, thinking, first 3 points of the season. And then we come out of there in shock. I come out of there in shock that we threw it away and got beat.
Yeah, I wasn't at the game, obviously. I watched the game on TV, and the commentators the whole time were going, "This is a composed Everton performance." It was a performance that they hadn't seen from Everton in a long time, almost attacking at will, breaking down Bournemouth with ease, getting down the channels, getting through the middle. Bournemouth were just not in that game of football. They just were not in that game of football, and we went into that second half and we were great. And then you're right, he makes some substitutions and it just completely destabilised the whole team. And you know, as soon as he brought on Decore, I thought, I didn't see that switch. You know, the switches I was seeing was, you know, at 2-0 up, we've sort of 5 minutes to go in normal time, 85th minute. We're having all these chances. Just get the lads to literally just start passing the ball between them, around the back, keep the ball. Don't start trying to go and get a third or a fourth. You know, you go and do that in the 70th minute. You're 2-0 up with 5 minutes of the game to go in normal time, 85 minutes. And I can see, you can see the ball coming to Tim on the edge of their box. And I'm like, what are you doing? And it's not a dig at Tim, by the way, because I'm convinced Sean Dyche does not know how to teach players when and when not to step off. I'm absolutely convinced of it. You know, he can throw the players under the bus as much as he wants. He can make all the comments in the world as much as he wants. But the fact of the matter is, yesterday, Mykolenko was pulled out of position because Tim was absolutely dead on his feet. Tim was fantastic all game. He was fantastic until the last 5 minutes. That's all the Premier League team need. You know, you've got a Premier League team who are bringing on players who have got pace, ability, Sinistera, for example, who can beat people, who have got the ability to just run around people. And you've got Tim, who's literally basking for air on one point. He passes the ball straight to a Bournemouth player 4 yards away from him, in front of him. You know, instead of just going, oh, I'll tell you what, I'll pass it back. And Michael Keane and Tarkowski can pass it between them. It can maybe go back to Pickford. He can waste 10 seconds, 20 seconds of it. And then he can go long to Calvert-Lewin. It's just about managing the game out. And yesterday, I thought the substitutions were appalling. I thought the players that he brought onto the pitch destabilised the team. I thought Calvert-Lewin did a decent job at holding up the ball yesterday. Beto, come on, couldn't trap a bag of cement. You've got Decore, first touch, goes straight to Bournemouth. Second touch, poor passing, doesn't trap back for the goal. I sat there and I just thought, you've literally thrown the game away because you haven't known how to manage your subs, and you haven't either gone 5 at the back or brought in a holding midfielder in like James Garner who will just take the pressure out of it, just be calm, just pass the ball around. He didn't do any of that. He tried to get Beto on to score another one. He tried to get Decore on to try and score something. I just don't get it. He got it wrong. And for me, John, I'm done. I'm done. I was done with Dyche at times last season. I was done with Dyche. Then he goes on this decent run. And then when you actually look at the statistics of this situation are Everton have a manager that I think in the last 59 games has won 17 of them. Now, I know Everton have been poor, but I'm sorry. This Everton team that we've got now should not be conceding 10 goals in 3 games. It's a disgrace. And whoever is at Everton, whoever it is, whether it's Mashiri, whether it's Chong, whether we need to set up a GoFundMe page, whether we need to... I would literally stand on the street outside begging for pennies to get enough money to sack Sean Dyche because I am done with him. 5 wins since December. We fall apart. His game management is shocking. His substitutions have been poor since the day he come in. It was only the fact he used to set up the teams okay that we used to get away with it. Me and you had this debate last year. I'm done with him, John. I'm done. I don't want to listen to another word from him. The press conferences that I'm finished with, you know, when he goes on about, oh, it's the feel of the game. And we've had this problem since before I come. Well, Sean, you've been here 20 months now, mate. This is your team. They're indoctrinated in the way that you play football. You're the one that chooses to play Michael Keane or Tarkowski instead of Jake O'Brien. By the way, for people who have been digging out Michael Keane, I'll give you some home truths on him as well. He's been all right this season. It's been the other one that's let him down. Yesterday, he was nowhere near the ball for the second one. He knows Mykolenko's out of position and the senior player should be dealing with it. Doesn't deal with either of them. I think it was a disgrace and I'm done with him, mate. I am done with him.
So you mentioned the substitutions from both managers, and it was chalk and cheese. When you look at the substitutions Bournemouth made, every one of their substitutions made a difference for them. The substitutions that Dyche made had the adverse effect on us. The as you said before, they destabilised the team. And it's plain and pretty simple. When you're 2-0 up on 85 minutes, instead of taking the lad who can take the pressure off the defence, take the midfielder off who's blown out of his arse. Just go 5 at the back, as we said this morning. Just bring Jake O'Brien on, 5 at the back, see the game out. And as you quite rightly say, I thought Calvert-Lewin yesterday's first touch and you know, his hold-up play was good. Just keep the ball away from them. Give it to Pickford. Let him hoof it up. Then they've got to win the ball back to come and attack us. But when their substitutions come on, it was just so easy for them to pick the ball up, cut through us, get down the lines, whip the ball in. I think they put 3 decent crosses and they scored from the 3 of them within 4 minutes or whatever it was. Now, as you quite rightly say, Mikalenko on 2 of them did get pulled out of position. But the senior defenders there, Michael Keane and Tarkowski, who've played enough Premier League games, have enough Premier League experience to see that happening. So all one of them's got to do is just drop back and help him out, because it happened with 2 of the goals, Michael.
I also think it might be the first one. I also think Pickford should come out, because I think it's a yard in front of him, sort of chest height. I think he can easily just come out and catch it. I mean, I haven't seen it back again. I have tried to erase that game out of my memory. But when I watched that replay, I am convinced, I thought to myself, Pickford should have got to that. I honestly, I'm staggered.
Well, listen, we all know Dyche hasn't got a plan B, because we spoke the other week, and again, we're saying it on here, we're like broken records, that he wanted to change the game and how we play. Now, he sort of done it yesterday, but not to the full extent that we were hoping for, where we play off the back, use the midfielders, put the players through the channels. He's done it a few times, and it was a better performance, but I don't think he done it enough. But I don't think he's got a plan B. But he also, as you quite rightly said before, don't think he knows what substitutions to make to see out a game. Now, this is a manager who year on year, well, most years, I know there was a couple of years he done well at Burnley, and I think he got them into Europe. But year on year, they were at the other end of the table, the wrong end of the table. So he knew how to see games out when they were winning 1-0, or even just to see the game out to get a point. I don't think he knows how to do it at Everton, and I don't know whether it's the players, because no disrespect to Burnley, but then when you look at it was Michael Keane and Tarkowski at Burnley anyway, wasn't it? So, they should know how to see games out. It's all on him. And, there's going to be people in the comments, we both know, that are saying, well, if you sack him, who'd you bring in? The whole top and bottom of this situation is the club is in an absolute mess. So we can't afford to sack him. We can't afford to sack his backroom staff. So as I said before, he doesn't feel under any pressure. So until the takeover's done, unfortunately, we're left with this dinosaur. And then the new owners will come in and let them sort it out. Because I was speaking to someone before, and we have spoke about it on here, but I don't know if everyone's seen it. Moshiri is the biggest problem at this club. And everyone went on about, Bill Kenwright this, Bill Kenwright that. I'm sorry. Moshiri's the one who's put this club under a bus. He's put an extra £400 million debt onto this club in the last 12 months. £400 million. So don't sit here and put in the comments that it's not Moshiri, it was Bill Kenwright who was the biggest problem with the club. No, he wasn't. He wasn't. The owner of this club, whether it be Moshiri or whether he was a puppet for Usmanov, he's still done the day-to-day running of this club, and he's put us in an absolute car crash. He's not interested. So do the right thing, Moshiri. Give 7-7 the £220 million out your own ass pocket, because you've got it. Because this is the reason why the Dan Friedkin deal fell through, because he didn't want to deal with the 777 situation. So do the right thing. Get the pressure off yourself. Walk away from Everton with nothing, because you don't need the money, because you're not arsed in the club. Sort the 7-7 out and get Dan Friedkin back involved in this club, because the John Textor thing is going to drag on and on and on and on and on. And it's not a quick fix with John Textor. It's not a quick fix with Dan Friedkin, but Dan Friedkin can be in within 6 to 12 weeks. John Textor's still got to sell his Palace shares. Then he's got to go through all the due diligence. That's not a quick job. So while that is all going on, and this John Textor is in a period of exclusivity, then we're stuck with Sean Dyche.
Yeah. I don't disagree with any of that. And I think a lot of people will be sitting there going, you can't blame the manager. There's been a lot of fans from outside clubs who watched our video, and obviously we've got friends who support clubs outside of Everton, obviously. And our friends have all been saying, you can't just blame the manager. There's 11 players on that pitch, and they all fell apart. They're all Premier League pros. They all should know. And I get that. I agree with that statement to a certain degree as well. I think there was enough experience on that pitch to be able to see out a game of football. Seamus Coleman, Tarkowski, Michael Keane, Jordan Pickford, Ladrissa Garnagai, even Calvert-Lewin is experienced, McNeil's experience. There was so much experience on that pitch They shouldn't need a manager to tell them, right, see out the game of football. But they were confident. They were believing this was the best performance in a long, long time. They needed someone who was calm to say, do you know what? We've done enough here, lads. Let's just see this game out. Let's just do it. And that didn't happen. Now, Dyche come out and said that he made a comment that he was trying to get a message over to the players. Well, I'll tell you a message that can get over to the players, Dyche, is you take off whoever you want to take off. Let's go with Tim, for example. Let's go with Dwight McNeil. And let's throw on Jake O'Brien and James Garner. Let's go 5 at the back and a holding midfielder to bolster the options, or maybe keep Tim on, but just remember that you've got an extra midfielder on to cover him, and maybe just go long to Calvert-Lewin or just keep the ball. The facts are he brought on 2 attacking players. The worst one, right? Decore, I can semi live with, but he bought better one at 2-1. At 2-1, and he then said in his press conferences and in different media stuff that he did, that he could smell that they were going to get another one, that they were going to win the game. He could smell it.
Why bring a striker on?
Why bring a striker on? Why not go to Beto, mate? You're not going to come on today. It's going to be Jake O'Brien. So if you want to take Calvert-Lewin off, just stick Ndiaye up front and just go 5 at the back. I don't get what he was doing, and that we criticised his subs at Brighton. We were 1-0 down to Brighton. He doesn't make a sub. Brighton make a sub. They go 2-0 down. We then make changes. It is unacceptable. He doesn't know what he's doing with substitutions, and no matter who is the owner, whoever, no matter what the future is of Everton Football Club, the facts are, and both me and you agree, John, that this manager is more than capable of sending this group of players into the Championship, and that is what concerns me. 10 goals in 3 games is unacceptable. Having gone through a run of not winning in 15 last season, it is a disgrace. He shouldn't be the manager of Everton, and I am done. And the owners, as you rightly say, John, if Managerial has got any sense of what his investment could look like, he pulls the trigger. He pays him off because he's still the owner of this football club. Managerial can still sack the manager. Sack him. Sack him. Sack him. Sack him. And if you want people to bring in, I don't care who you bring in. You know, David Moyes, I don't think has got a job. I think there's attractive managers in the Championship that, yes, will cost money. I don't care what you do. But we need a manager who can get in with this football club, get this group of players back on side, and get this group of players winning again, because that group of players yesterday worked their absolute arse off. And this is no indictment on any of them. They didn't deserve their manager yesterday because their manager screwed them over. He's done them yesterday. They're a disgrace.
Threw them under the bus. He threw them under the bus with his substitutions. And, you said before, friends of ours, have messaged us and said, well, it's on the players. You can't just keep blaming the manager. What was the stat you gave me before? 5 wins since Christmas or December, was it?
Yeah, 5 wins since Christmas.
Yeah. And what was it? 17 wins in 59 games?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Right. So you can blame the manager because them stats are poor. For me, the stats are poor when you win 1 game in 15. And if Everton could have sacked him and afforded to sack him, and we had someone capable of running our football club, then he would have been sacked, because no other manager in the Premier League survives with stats like that. And another thing people will go on about, well, and we've mentioned it, the performance was better yesterday. Unfortunately, performances, as has been proved yesterday, don't always guarantee your points. Now, that's 3 games out of 3 since the season started that we've got 0 points. Now, that will rub off on the players and the confidence will go. Then you start finding yourself scraping round near the bottom and trying to catch the teams above you. Because I'm telling you now, there's teams in this league who have put up more of a fight than Everton who have come up this season. And I've said this before, said it after the Brighton game. You look at Leicester, they give Tottenham a game, 2nd game of the season, I think it was, 1st game, I don't know. Ipswich are capable of putting a fight up. because they have managers who will set the team up right. They will have managers who will make the right changes and get the right tactics out at the right time. They've got managers who won't come out with rubbish like he was trying to get a message across to the players. If you want to get a message across to one of your players, all you've got to do is tell the fullback. We see it on the telly. A substitute will come on with a piece of paper and pass it to someone. That's how you get your message across. If you can't get it across because of the noise in the crowd, there's other ways. Buy a fucking carrier pigeon and tie it to its leg. Tell it where to go. So he's threw them under the bus. He's coming out with rubbish like that he's trying to get a message across to the players. I'm the same as Michael now, and to be honest with you, I think I'd say probably 8 out of 10 Everton fans are done with him now. But as Michael said before, what can we do? Who pulls the trigger? Because listen, Mashiri's not bothered this is going on, and that's the hit. It's not what he probably didn't watch it yesterday or he found out the score. He's not bothered like we are because he doesn't want to be at the club, and he spoke to so many people about buying the club off him. But as Michael said, just do the decent thing and earn a bit of credit back to Everton fans, and just sack the manager. And I know Michael said before David Moyes hasn't got a job. I think he's an advisor for UEFA now. But if Everton offered him a job, I think he'd walk back to Goodison Park, David Moyes.
I'm sorry to cut in there, John, and sorry to jump off the video there. I just had a knock on the door from very lovely people, and they give me a will suffering end slip. I mean, the timing of that is absolutely impeccable. No, I'm not religious, so
what are they trying to tell us? Do they know something we don't?
I mean, I'm not religious, but I mean, I do look for signs, and that to me looks like a sign. It's on blue paper. It says, "Will." I mean, look, will suffering ends. It said. So, yeah. Should we just go through the goals? I think it's important we go through the goals and we do give a bit of analysis. And we talk about the players in the right way because there was some fantastic performances yesterday. And Dyche, or some people are saying enjoy. What a player. What a player. How good was he yesterday?
Mate, I said to you this morning, he's sexy. You know, he's good with the ball at his feet. There's a couple of things yesterday where he just went past people like they weren't there, but there was other parts of it as well where he had like 3 or 4 players around him on the far side near the dugout from where I'm sitting, and he just does these magical things with his feet, and he just gets away from them. And for me, he's probably the most exciting player I've seen for Everton in a long, long time. Him and Tim yesterday, no word of a lie, the people who were sitting around me, I was drooling to them over them 2 players. I thought they were magnificent. And for me, we've got 2 superstars there. I think we've got the better deal out of Onana and Tim and Dyche. Massive credit to Kevin Thelwell for finding him and for getting him over the line, because for me, even though we haven't won yet, he's exciting me.
Mate, he needed consoling after the game because of how much he put into that game and how gutted he was that we lost. I mean, if ever a player sort of comes in and embraces it and the things he said about the club, I really, really like him. I really like him. I really like his attitude. And I really like the fact that, you know, he was physical as well yesterday. There'd be times where the ball would be in the air and he'd use his... I mean, he looks slight. He looks like a fairly thin lad. And he's there getting his back into it. He's trying to glide away from players. He wins a free kick by going down the line. He's waiting for him to chip away. Then he sees the lad in the back of him and he goes over. He gets a free kick. Yeah.
He's a clever footballer. Now, obviously, where I sit, I see them all very, very, very close up. And he's not big at all. He's not a big player. He's small. But as you quite rightly say, he was holding players off yesterday with the strength that he's got, and he was inviting the fouls, and he's a clever footballer. For considering, you know, he hasn't been in the Premier League, obviously, 2 weeks, 3 weeks or whatever. he's a clever footballer, and he knows when to do the skill and when not to do the skill. He knows when to invite the foul and go down and go past people. His timing of the game when he's got the ball at his feet, for me, is absolutely spot on.
Yeah, the other thing I noticed is it actually made the more attacking players around him try different things. Yeah. Like, for example, there was a few times where Dwight McNeil was trying to beat a player. He did a pirouette on the spot. He wins a free kick. I'm not saying Dwight McNeil's had a good season, but he seemed to run more yesterday. He seemed to try and carry the ball better yesterday, McNeil, and he linked up quite well with Ndiaye on that side. There was certainly a couple of counter-attacks where McNeil sort of played him through. There was a moment where Ndiaye tried to play McNeil through, for example, as well. It's just nice to see bits of chemistry. I'm not saying McNeil's been brilliant, because he hasn't, but I did think he had a better game than he has had recently.
I said this in the match preview, didn't I, Michael? When you play Ndiaye, it gives players around you a lift. And when you've got a performance from Ndiaye like you got yesterday, exactly what you've just said, the forward players seem to be up for it more. So this is why we were saying he has to start Ndiaye. He has to start Ndiaye to give the players around him a lift. And as you quite rightly say, there was a bit of a link-up play between McNeil and Ndiaye. So if he's going to carry on and stick with McNeil, then if they can start building a partnership up and complementing each other, then that can only be good. But he's got to stick with Ndiaye.
Yeah, agreed. And you mentioned Tim. Tim was imperious. He could do everything, Tim. I saw him beat a man and get a shot off. I saw some really technical skill. I saw some decent passing, apart from the last 10 minutes, but we'll let him off. He is an absolute superstar. My only concern with Tim, right, and you might think this is a bit mad, and it's very early for me to say this. So I know it's very early for me to say this. I'm not saying what I'm saying now because we need to do it straight away. But he's only on a 3-year contract.
Yeah, we're not going to be offering new contracts yet. For the simple fact of the matter, there's no other club to do it.
No, but my point is, these are the sort of players that you want to tie down as long as possible.
Do a Chelsea, give them a 7-8-year contract.
That's what I mean. It sounds silly, but if other clubs are doing it, he's the sort of player that I'd be saying, not obviously not now, but 12 months or whatever, when he's got 18 months left of his deal, you say, we're going to give you a big pay rise, you deserve it, you one of the first names on the team sheet, blah, 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 blah. We want you to sign a massive contract, i.e. long contract, big wage, big top up on your pay and all that. And this is how Everton should be building around these young, talented players. I was really, really impressed with him yesterday. And there was another player that I think we need to talk about, because I've absolutely thrown him under the bus time and time again. You have. We spoke about him so much on deadline day, and then he plays on the Saturday, and it was like he actually cares about Everton Football Club, which was surprising. And that's Calvert-Lewin, who managed to get both an assist and a goal yesterday. The assist was lovely. Ball comes in, he chests it down to Michael Keane, who hits a lovely volley first time. It's a great finish. We've said it before, put Michael Keane in the box and he'll score goals. We've said it time and time again. And then his goal was lovely football, intricate football. Tim tries to knock it through, doesn't quite do it. Then it goes through from Ndiaye into Dwight McNeil, through the channel into Calvert-Lewin, and just a little dink and finish over to the goalkeeper to make it 2-0. He was. I'm not quite going to say he was the Lewin that we all want, because I still think there were certain bits of his game that he could improve. I still think he could have ran a little bit more. But that's the Lewin that I could back and I could watch and I can support. And that does make me think he wants to be here, even though he won't sign a new deal. Do you get what I mean?
I don't know. He doesn't want to be here. In my opinion, he doesn't want to be here.
No. But the performance is like that.
But we're stuck with him now till at least January anyway, aren't we? And he might go then. But I do agree with you. There was a better performance. And I said in the match preview as well, there's 2 ways Lewin goes now. Yeah, the carries on with the performance as if he's not bothered. Or he puts a performance in like he did yesterday, like he was under Carlo Ancelotti. Not saying his performance yesterday was, fantastic. I'm not saying it was a performance that he used to put in under Carlo Ancelotti, but it was better than what we've seen. I thought his first touch was better. I thought he'd done more running, as you quite rightly said. For the goal, his movement was good. He won more headers, in my opinion. I think his time of the headers is still a bit poor. I think he jumps too early sometimes or too late. But I said it'll go two ways. He'll either show that he's interested or he will carry on the way he has been. And I thought yesterday he did show he was a bit more interested. So, hopefully we'll get more performances like that, because again, was that down to Dyche? Because he could see, again, as you said before, the midfielders and the front players seemed a bit more up for it yesterday. Because when you've got a player like that, it does give everyone a lift. Or I'd like to think it was just down to Lewin to say, well, do you know what? I'm here now. I'm probably not going to sign the contract, but while I am here, I'll give it a go. And I think he'd done that yesterday.
Yeah, agreed. And obviously, we missed it deadline day. We did our video, and then 10 past 11 or something, the news broke that Brozier had been essentially signed from Chelsea on a loan with a 30 mil option at the end of the season. He's not fit until, I think it's October. I think he's going to miss 4 or 5 games. However, Everton aren't paying his wages till then, which I think is a big plus in that deal. The fact that we're not paying his wages. Brozier at Southampton looked like a good player. My only concern is I seem to remember, and correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, guys, but I seem to remember him playing off the left a lot at Southampton. So you've got NGI, McNeil, and Brozier will all try and go into that space. You've also got Jack Harrison, by the way, who I think is left-footed and likes to play off the left. So it's like we seem top-heavy on the left-hand side of midfield, not very heavy at all on the left back position. We've got lots of right backs, albeit I don't massively rate any of them, hugely. And then we've got one right midfielder in Jack Harrison, who I think is probably actually more of a left winger rather than a right winger. So I'm sitting there thinking, we seem a bit unbalanced, really.
But the thing is, what we need to do, Michael, is we've got to hope and pray that if Jack Harrison gets injured or he has a dip in form, because his form's not brilliant anyway. I don't get the signing, to be fair, but we just have to hope someone can go and play on the right, who we've brought in. Whether Dwight McNeil can swap if Brozier comes in, or if we can put Ndiaye on the left, things like that. But quite right, people were going on about we needed a pacey winger. Still didn't bring a pacey winger in. On the Brozier deal, listen, we needed a centre forward, and I've said that. I'm a bit underwhelmed with who it is, if I can be honest. But situation the club's in, we're not going to go out and get a centre forward superstar, are we? World class centre forward. So it is what it is. At least until January, till next summer, whatever it may be. Brozier's come in. He is out for 4 games till October. Just a bit of competition up front, isn't it, for the likes of Beto and Calvert-Lewin?
Yeah.
I don't think he's prolific. I don't think he'll score us double-figure goals like we spoke about that we needed. But it's bodies, isn't it, in that position? That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, the 3 goals that Bournemouth scored then, I think we've analysed them a lot, but essentially they were balls across the box, headers, back post, header in the middle of but there was 2 back posts and one sort of in just on the 6-yard line. Defensively, we were pulled out of position. We looked ropey. We looked poor.
I don't think the fullback done enough to stop the ball coming over. I think he could have done more. As you say, there was 2 balls stood up at the back post. I think we looked at it, didn't we? And we spoke about it. I think one of them was probably down to Tim, but again, we can't throw him under the bus. I think he lost his man. Mikalenko was dragged out of position, but 2 of the goals out of 3, Michael, but they was very similar, weren't they? So why didn't he learn from the first one?
Yeah.
He just didn't learn. They were very, very similar. I think the fullback should have done more to stop the ball getting across. I think the defenders should have read the game better. I think they should have been stronger in the air. And I guarantee if Jake O'Brien's brought onto the pitch, we don't lose the game, in my opinion. I think he gets at least one of them headers out.
It's a big lad, and so it probably helps. Yeah, okay. I think we should leave it there. I think that's been a decent debrief of the game. I think there's a break now. We've got Villa away. Villa away. Villa away next. I am not excited for that game.
Well, you say we've got a break now of 2 weeks. I think, isn't it bad that after 3 games of the season and 1 cup game, we're all ready for a break from Everton?
Yeah, but mate, do you know what was worse? I sat there on like the 80th minute, and I think it might have been just before that, and we played a ball. It was the one where the balls come through and it's 3-on-1, and I think he passes to McNeil, who then tries to pass it back rather than shoot. And I sat there going, God, I wish it was an international break, because honestly, we play like this, we'll give anyone a game, and then we fall apart. And I sat there and went, fucking hell.
Thank God there's a break. Yeah.
I thought, will the suffering ever end?
Not under this manager.
Guys.
Listen, we're sitting here, sorry to butt in, I know we're finishing the video, but there will be people in the comments saying, well, you know, without the point deductions, we were comfortably 12th last season. I don't see us finishing 12th this season. I see us finishing lower, a lot lower if this manager stays here. So for me, it's a step backwards. So I think he has to go at the first opportunity that we can get rid of him.
Honestly, I would love it. I would love it if it was announced tomorrow, for example, that he's gone. I would love it. I know it won't happen. Say again.
Sound like Kevin Keegan. I would love it.
I would love it. I would love it. I would love it if we beat him. No, all jokes aside, yeah, it's been a rough one. I think we're probably going to have a couple of days rest off the channel. It's been a busy August. There's been lots of videos, and yeah, there'll be a few days rest, I think, before we get back into the Premier League games. And obviously, I think there's a Carabao Cup game as well next month as well, isn't there? So there's some games. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe. The views, by the way, on our match reactions, and I know it's because of the results, but I do still appreciate the support, especially from the Evertonians and the nice fans from other clubs, because there is some knobheads. There is some knobheads in the comments. I've had a few. Why don't you support Birmingham? Well, the channel's been going 6 years, so it's either you ain't been interested, you don't know the story. I don't care. But yeah, there's certain comments like that. There was sort of comments towards what I think John had said about the manager, and then about blaming the players. Look, we give our opinions on these videos week in, week out, which is why we try not to respond to too many comments. We watch them, we read them, we look at them, and if there's anything that's there, like, you know, pulling at the heartstrings or is a massive thank you, then of course we respond. But we try not to get into arguments with people in the comments, because it is very easy to do that. So yeah, thank you for your support and your love.
Just one more thing from me. Chris from the paddock yesterday, who come over and wanted a picture with me. I'll never understand why people do that, but yeah, I was more than happy to do it. Stood there for 10 minutes out of 15, whatever it was, 16, 17 minutes, having a chat to him. Picked the lads up this morning as well when I was out working, a lad called Michael, who recognised that I was from the Blue Boys Network. So it does mean a lot. The comments mean a lot, and people coming over to us, even though I don't mean this in a horrible way, but I'm just someone off here. I'm not famous or anything like that. So it does not I wouldn't say it gets. We've got to be careful how I say this, but I was having a problem. It doesn't get to me, but I don't know why people want to do it. You know,
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. It's the dealing with the situation, and it happened when we went to the game, and Harriet was with me and Finn, and you have people coming over and stopping. And we're just fans of Everton. We're not, you know, I hate that term when people say, oh, I'm a massive fan of the channel. I'm a massive fan of yours, Michael, yours, John. And I sit there and like, don't be a fan of me. Jesus Christ, I'm nothing special. I'm a fat blummy.
That's
You
what
know,
that's what I'm trying to say. We're just two people who give our opinions, sitting behind the camera. But Chris was a lovely lad yesterday, and as I say, that the lad who recognised me this morning, Michael as well. So yeah, it is nice. It is nice, but we're just two people who sit on here and give an opinion. So if you want to carry on doing that, then obviously we're not going to tell you to go away. But we won't say, no, you're not having a pitch. And if any ladies want to come over with a pen, I will sign certain parts of their body. Don't mind that part of it. But yeah, we're just two people off here.
There's absolutely no chance that's going to happen for you, mate. Jesus,
I know.
Yeah, guys, I'll see you soon. Keep smiling. Up the toffees. Peace.